Good morning, traders. Hope everyone can hear me now. Hope you had a good weekend. I certainly did. Didn't do too much, just a bit of mowing and enjoyed myself, relaxed. Um, we had a not a massive day on Friday. The US, I think, overnight was pretty quiet on Friday night session. I think it did opened a bit weak and then got bought up and then got sold off on some, I think it was something to do with Hillary Clinton's emails sometime during the session, a bit of a sell off and then that sort of bounced back. So a little bit of action, nothing too much. I think the volume was a little bit above average, which is good. But yeah, I think there's a lot of, everyone's sort of sitting around waiting to see what the elections are going to turn out like. And it sort of looks like an each way bet at the moment. Hillary doesn't look like in a good state with all these rumours, and Trump's Trump, I guess. So that'll be interesting to see how it goes. I hope we're all doing well. Let's kick it off. So, if you've got a chart or anything you want us to just send through, again, just whack it through to support@tradesetup.com.au, or just put the codes through on the chat. Now we've got one we're going to have a look at. So we're going to look at Telstra and just go through that. Also, just want to touch on FMG. I think it's a good example of Fortescue of getting caught. It's not a good thing to be talking about, but it's good to just take note of price action and things like that because yeah, there's a few little things I just want to chat about on that. If there's anything else someone wants to talk about, if there's a problem you're having on your trading or anything like that, we can discuss. I'll give it a go and see if I can help out there. All right, let's start off. Let's just see where the market is at the moment. Haven't had a good look at it just yet. Okay, so I've just had to reset my computer, by the way. It might take a while just to get up charts and things. All right, we've got, well, this is Telstra here. We just shut out. It's at full. We had a short alert on that at 4.99, and that's going out in our favour. It's getting, I think it could still have a bit of legs in it. I'm sort of expecting it to extend below that low, wash out a few traders, and then we'll just assess it from there. You can see that it's sort of pushing its way down. There's a good little lower high, a couple of lower highs we're working from, so we'll see if that can continue lower. The weekly's not looking too flash at all, and especially looking at the daily, we've had that massive uptrend, a bit of a pullback, made that lower high on a monthly trend, so there could be quite a bit left in this still. We'll just have to see how it goes, but we'll talk about that a bit more a bit later on. Market, where are we? Down pretty much unchanged, down 0.4 of a point, so not even a point at the moment. We'll go through the weekly ASX and just see what that looks like. I think we're getting to that stage now. We've been sold last week pretty hard a couple of times, so a couple of days, but it's right down in that support now. If it sort of bounces off here and builds a lower high, I think we've got a few problems. But if it can bounce from here, have a bit of a correction and build a higher low, sort of not bounce too hard. If you see a good decent bounce and correcting with high lows, high highs, pushing back up and then rolling over from there could be a bit of a problem. So I'm a bit late because I had to get my coffee. I was desperate. Alrighty, let's just go over to. Okay, look at this one here. This is the XJO. Now we can see. So I'll just get a few things up. Right, you can see on the weekly basis, we've come through that 5,000. We've had a big correction off that. This is obviously a long time ago, but just going from left to right. Pull back off, retest, a deeper correction, built that good high low. That was sometime in 2012, and we had a good push up from there, right up to the highs in 2015. It's just touched on 6,000, and we corrected off that, taking out a few higher lows just in this sort of zone, around that 5,200. Corrected through 5,000, and we just built our way up, higher lows, higher highs from there. And it's just now that we've built that lower high, which is in that sort of weekly basis there. It's not looking too flash. I mean, that could easily just push straight through. We've got a bit of work to do. I think I'm expecting more contraction. We are at that point on the daily basis. If we can just draw that up, I think we are. Sorry, we're getting in. Well, that's not what I want, is it? Still, it's got my old plates on. We're still getting in that. Oh, that's probably not the best way to. We've got a support line around here, good base support there, and we've got that support around there. So we are touching on it now at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see if we can't hold up here, and we're getting to that oversold. Another thing I want to. A few people we've been discussing stochastics now. I know I mentioned oversold, overbought, but really, I guess the way I view stochastics is more the strength of the move down. You know, once you're hitting oversold, it's been quite a good strong move down. So the probability, that's a tongue twister for me, a probability of it keep going no further lower is getting quite low. So I view sort of stochastics in terms of probability of the move continuing. I mean, you can easily go up, stay oversold, overbought for quite a while as the market moves higher, but unless the price structure's there, I won't really go near it. I mean, there's times where markets can be tending around overbought. The price structure looks great, and then you can still. I'm still happy to get into it because you can minimise your risk. There could still be something in the move, especially if the weekly's still supporting it. The weekly's still pointing higher. So, in terms of that, I've got to tell myself not to say overbought and oversold. It's just the probability once it's up there trading above 80% on the stochastic. If the price structure is not there for buy, then don't enter. But just always be wary of that. In the back of your head, you say, "Oh, okay, it's getting to that above 80%. Technically overbought." Just be wary of that move and just make sure you're sort of onto it. But that's what I'm sort of viewing there. So in this respect, you've got price structure saying that it's touching down on support. You're getting to oversold, so the probability of that pushing through is quite low. It doesn't mean it can't. It can easily spike through, touch down at 5,200, for example, and then bounce back up. But then by that time, if that sort of price action happens and you do get that spike down to 5,200 from where we are at the moment, 5,285, it's not a big move on the daily. I'd suggest that that's starting to break and we're starting to really get some rollover, and that we're going to find that seller's going to keep stepping in on that resistance as it lowers. But yeah, I think that's something to be aware of. But if we start bouncing from here, obviously you've got to go down to the daily charts. We're on a weekly, aren't we? Oh, no, we're on a daily. Even though just want to see some type of price action. If you got this rising support, we've pushed down. You want to see this type of price action. Build that higher low, and then you potentially, if it gets a bit of contraction that way, just be wary. As soon as you take out, a high, okay, we're going up. You'd expect us to go up. As soon as you take out that sort of low, we could be rolling over and heading down. So I think that's the type. I'm not a big one for trading in those zones. I'd rather confirmation of those. Take out those highs or take out those lows, just to get an idea of which way we're heading. But that's basically my view. Well, you can see here where support's holding, rising support, lowering resistance, lower highs, higher highs, higher lows. Sorry. So that market's really contracting. We could just do, a bit more of this in and on itself until we get a clear direction. And that's probably would coincide with presidential elections, US rate rises, things like that. We're coming into the end of the year. So all that sort of could add up to really a good strong move when it gets once those things have sorted themselves out. Alrighty. Any questions on, anyone got a different view of the ASX? But I think we're sort of at a bit of a crux here. We have, on that daily basis there, we are seeing a bit of a rejection of that support, but it'd be interesting to see how we go today. I think if we go to the lower time frame charts, let's just look at intraday. I like the 30-minute charts. See that's been a good strong move from 5,400 really. It hasn't really abated. We've got some minor pushback. On the open generally when you get those washouts on the open, and then the rest of the day is lower. Solid day that was Wednesday, solid day Thursday, but you can see it's starting to ease up. So as we're getting lower, I think a few buyers are starting to step in. As that push down, just it run out of steam. We may be getting a bit of a bounce, but whether it's going to be just minor higher lows, higher highs, is yet to be seen. We'll have to just follow that. All right. We'll have a quick look at just. Actually, let's just go back to Telstra and just talk about what we're looking at with Telstra. Yeah, we like Telstra as a short. I think it looks quite attractive. Weren't worried about the prior low. Oh, okay. Yep. No, I'll look at that. Actually, that's probably a really good question because So Emery's just mentioned, I guess you can all see in the chat, with Telstra, why aren't we worried about the prior low at 492? It bounced off quite strongly, that's true. Yep, no, that's true, but it's sort of the price section after, which is the most interesting when you get a strong bounce like that. And then you'd expect, if that's a proper rejection, a good rejection area, I'll just draw this chart up anyway. I'd expect another strong, strong move back up, and then maybe a bit of retracement, build that high low and go. But it's done the opposite. If you can we'll get that up in a second. Oh, let's just put our studies on there. So I just had to reset my computer there. So let me just quickly clean up my chart there, guys. So if anyone wants to know what I like to use, it's the 50 and the 20 EMA. I never know what color I like. Blue. That's not it, is it? That's what I want. Yeah, I just use the 50 and 20. It's not, people get really excited about these. They're not too, let me just check that. Yep. Okay. Yeah, so with the EMAs, it doesn't really matter too much. You just want two fairly different ones, whether it's an 18 and a 35 or a 20 and a 50 like I use, just to get an idea of what's happening with the market. This just I just sort of use it to put me on the right side. If the market's trending down, I want to see the EMAs pushing down and vice versa. And contracting, the EMAs contract, expand apart, contract together. That's what I'm trying to get an idea of. Okay, let's just go. So we're looking at Telstra. There's a lot of, this is probably the CFD, the pricing's just a bit strange, but if we can just look at, there's some support, roughly through there. That's that 492. It's touched down there a few times previously. We've just drilled back, so that it's had a good solid correction down there. Now what I would expect, if this is going to be a positive market, so just going from left to right, trying to mark it up. Looking at that, that's not too bad there either. So that's sort of holding those lower highs. Yeah, okay. So we've got a bit of contraction up. I would expect it to be a bit deeper and a bit stronger, that contraction. Say if this was going to happen off that level there, I would expect it to push down. It's that big washout down here, just below $5. With a deep correction, and then maybe something like this, but building higher lows, which it really didn't do, and expect it to take out these, take out some highs. It's done that, but it's rolled over. It's touched it from here, and that wasn't a really strong move. It wasn't a strong reaction, a strong enough reaction off that 5. It's really just returning to that resistance zone. Once it broke through, there's a major resistance zone here, so it's sort of trying to return there, but sellers are stepping in early. So that type of move there, and then another push down, and then building that second higher low there, for me is really that's really important. And when you've got that lower high built, so if we're going to push down, if we're going to hold this type of zone just in here, you can see that's touched down there. What's that? It's about 5. So that's right on 5. If we were going to hold that, we should have taken out this level at 522 if it was a strong enough market, and we potentially building that high low in here and then going. Instead, excuse me, any sort of buying was met with some strong selling, and you had another lower high just build. Now, to me, that structure there coinciding with a big move down, bounce back up, that's strength in selling when it can't pull back and make a deeper correction, somewhere up here, even touching that resistance zone, and then push down, build that high low, and then go that longer term structure like this. You need to see some strong selling come in. Now that's not very strong selling. There's more. It's the opposite. It's reversing. It's more strong not strong buying coming into the market. It's strong selling coming into the market with those lower highs. As soon as we saw this play out, Potential that was broke through here at $5. I was quite happy to take that trade, quite happy to sort of take that risk on with a. I had it initially right just up here at 522 or 523, sorry, the exit level, but just moving it down today. Once we get that breakthrough, so now we're targeting that 492 lows. I think there's going to be a few people that have been buying it in this zone. If they've got their stops, are probably obviously going to be packed in below that. Now, if we get through that and just tick off a few stops, I think that's going to just drag us down, potentially to 480. We don't know what's going to happen from here. I'll get up a better chart. We don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, let me just get up over here. End of day. Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen, but you take into account that weekly as well. That weekly, we're right at the crux. And if, any of those last-ditched effort, you can see that we've got a low here. It's corrected off that. It's pushed down, washed it out. Had a deeper correction as the buys were quite strong, and had that big strong move down. Now all this into account off a weekly. That's a weekly higher, lower high. That's a lot of pressure on the downside in my opinion. So, oh, sorry, Paul. Just so that it's not a dumb question because some people like you got a simple moving average and a exponential. Exponential weights it to more the recent data, the most recent data, whereas I think if you take say a 14, or say just keep it even, a 20-day simple moving average, I think it's just the average of the last 20 days, and it's not weighted to the most recent data. I don't know what they weight it, how they weight it, but with an exponential 20-day, it takes more weight in the last few days than it does on the 20 days prior, if that makes sense. So I just like it because it gives them a better understanding of what's happening at the right hand side of the chart. Well, we call it the hard right edge. So it gives a bit more information of what's happening there, better understanding rather than just a simple moving average. I don't think shows what's happening clearer. And really, all it does is if you plot them both together, 20 and a 20, I think the 20s take a bit, so that the simple moving average take more time to roll over because they take him. It's not weighted to the most recent data, whereas the exponential will give you, if it's rolling over, it rolls over quicker because it's the last data, most recent data. So, yeah, back to Telstra. So I hope that sort of makes a bit of sense to some, to everyone. That to me is quite decent price action, and that little, you can see that push through that low, which was down here 492 low. We took out on a weekly basis that low at 498. We made this very minor lower high, just in here. That's not really, to me there's not really any strength in buying entering that market, so I was pretty happy to take that short there, just see where it goes. I mean, we could take it down to this level here. What's that low? 450 thereabouts. But yeah, we're just going to keep risk quite tight on this one. I think on shorts you tend to, well, I tend to keep the risk a bit tighter than on longs. On longs it's sort of clear skies a lot of the times, so that's a bit psychologically, it could just keep going and people get a bit excited. Whereas on the short side, people are generally in the ASX are buying it, generally speaking, so that people are really watching this for a chance to buy, and they're happy to buy and hold. Sometimes if they get this wrong, you might find people longer term go, oh, it's going to go up, and happy to hold it. Whereas if you're shorting it, you'd be more inclined to have a hard stop in there than just hold it, and then put it aside for a while. Yeah, I think 480 to me is just a random level. So you got to view this two ways. I think, is this going to be a major washout of that 492 on a daily? So again, it's what I think we've discussed it. It's just planning ahead. Okay, what if I see this? What am I going to do? And if I see this, what am I going to do? It's just having those plans in place. Don't just go, okay, this is what I want to see. I want to be right. You don't want to get in that sort of that headspace of just trying to prove yourself and prove that you're right. You want to say, if this happens, if it goes down through 492 and retraces and make another lower high, all right, that's a good. There's more sellers still entering. That's what I want to see. I want to hold it, try to hold it. If you get that sort of sharp move through 492 and that sharp move down, that's a bit different price action. It's more conducive to a washout. And then you might build that high low and then buy a step in and push it back up, and then that might just be the start of a new move up. We don't know, but you just want to have those plans in place of what you're viewing, and what if you don't reach targets, Yeah, but so that 480 was more, okay, if we do get that wash out of 492, we might get some heavy selling because it's a weekly support as well, through here, and we might get heavy sell, even 475, you don't know. There's no real clear level just in here, that's the problem. The most recent one I would, oh, let's just get that. For this here, uh, the one I see as sort of a clear level is right down here. You got a minor level in here, but that's sort of right where we are now, so we might be just finding a bit of support just in there. But really, if we can get through that, we're going to wash out a few shorts, sorry, a few longs, I think, and we might just get people exiting and then looking to re-enter at a lower price, just get a better price. There's no clear, that probably coincides if we can draw that properly. That sort of support coincides there as well. So there's two reasons why it might pull up and head down to 440 in my book, whereas there's nothing too clear. 480 is more of that spike through, and then just see if I might even look to, if we do get that hard spike through down to 480, might just take some off just to book something. It's just good on a lower when you're going short. Okay. It depends what your view is. I mean, it's hard to say what your view is on Telstra and why you're holding them. It's really, I mean, this we don't obviously want to give any advice on anything, but it's just if you're holding for the longer term. Generally, this could just, if you look at it on a very longer term, that could just be contracting. We're just going down to the bottom side of it. We don't know, and then we're bouncing back up. So longer term, your view might be, okay, we're in contraction, bouncing back up. So if you're a long-term holder, this might be mucking around too much, like getting out here and then buying it back down here because you don't know what's going to happen. You're risking just chopping yourself up more than anything else, taking a little loss by trying to finesse another entry. But if you're just a short term, you're holding it very short term, okay, you might have to take a different view, but you just got to view, okay, what's going to happen here? Is it going to go down here, bounce off here, go back up, and then make that major lower high, and then go all the way through, and then really collapse? We don't know. But again, odds are it's getting down towards oversold, even on the weekly. The probability of, look, the probability it's getting through here, I think, is quite high, but just staying within this contraction, it's quite, yeah, how do I say it? I guess it's quite high. I think we can easily go down, build this type of price action, maybe a lower high in here, and then go, but just holding within this longer term contraction. So I guess just what your views are. $5.11, yeah, $5.11. Yeah, just you got to think of your time frame, I guess, Paul. I mean, most of the stuff we're doing and what we're looking at is more shorter term. We're just looking for that, short here, low risk, looking for that push, and that's the way we view it. If we get that push, good. We might look to take some off, because that longer time frame might hold and then push it back up. If we're on the long side, it might be a different story. Probably, personally, just wouldn't enter. I'd just be looking for that high low to build, and we haven't got that. We've got lower highs, so that's why we're working the short side. If you start getting those higher lows, then okay, I think this longer term trend is going to start taking hold. So we'll just see how that goes. But yeah, so everyone, try to steer clear of giving advice here, but all you can do is view your time frame and probably work off that. The other one I wanted to look at is FMG. I don't know if anyone's following FMG. We've had it kicking myself, if you ask me. FMG, I've got to remember where we got in. We were in, I think, twice around here, made a small profit, and then just got washed out with these, taking into account you got these lower highs, you got washed out in here, and I think we got back in around here, and then got washed out in a few of these spikes lower, just on a trade. But you can see that longer term trend has been quite strong, higher. There's a few people have, oh, good. So you can hit $1.80, awesome. Yeah, this one here, I mean, you might be interested, Paul, because I think we know there's been quite a bit of short interest on this, meaning that people have been shorting it for whatever reason. So this is where I guess we just want to sit back and analyze, why you're thinking about going short. If looking at it on a longer term basis, now this is the only sort of reason in here I would have been thinking about going short. You've got, where's my tool? So if anyone's got some ideas, just whack them on, yeah, the iron ore price. That's true. See, you do get caught out when you don't look at fundamentals. I'll leave that up to everyone else to look at it. I'll just try to trade it. It didn't work out that time, which is unusual. Unfortunate. Um, let's just go. So the only real thing I could have been looking at here is this type of price action. So in here, I think this is where, looking at that, we're overbought. So that probability is that's gonna, there is a potential for that to roll over. But you just got to remember, this is where your entries and your lower highs come into play, and you're working off price structure. If you're not and we've had a solid base. I mean, that's all pretty clear. Yeah, if everyone agrees with me, just say, give me a yeah. That's pretty clear. So you've had this bottom down here, even you've got some support, right in through here. That's clear to everyone. So because this is a monthly basis, so some very, very long term. That excuse me, it's my coffee. That's had a good bounce off that support, just below 2, where you sit around 180, you got in there. Great little entry. That's had a good strong move up, and it really hasn't corrected in any way, especially on this chart. It's probably had a little bit of a pause in here, a bit of consolidation you can see, and it's gone on with it again, taking out the highs and kept going up. So taking that into account, before we got this candle here, there was quite a bit of it's around the 5, just give or take that $5 mark. I think people are starting to get short, and we know that because we had a few people trying to sell it who we couldn't get a hold of the stock, which is shortable. So which means there's a few shorts build up. Someone actually asked me about it just the other day, and I said, look, you best just, I was looking at the chart, a daily chart, so you best to wait. I'm sure there's going to be a few shorts available soon if we do get a washout to the top side, which sure enough we did get that. But in saying all that, if you're just looking to short, just randomly shorting now off no price structure, off the monthly, this is where, if you're a monthly trader, a longer term trader, I still think it's very important to drill down onto the lower time frames to get an entry, because that monthly could have been, okay, we're in a great spot there, rather than just jumping in and selling on limit, with a risk, however you do it. This is where I don't like it as such. Selling in, say I'll give myself $1 stop or 50-cent stop. That's a random stop to me. You're not above any structure if you're just going to sell off the monthly, you jump in there without drilling down to the lower time frames. Now if you drill down to a weekly, if I can just, you're starting to get that around that 5, that was a zone. You're getting that contraction, okay, that's good, but we haven't, if you can just, well, yeah, that's that zone in there. So you can see it's still making higher lows, which is not, it's still not a terribly weak market, and it's made a few lower highs, and then it's spiked through. In this week in here, it's really done some damage to the upside. I think it's just catching a few people, anyone shorting. So this is enticing, I guess, off a weekly chart, but if I just draw up what I'm talking about, that price action in there, yeah, is enticing because we've got some lower highs building there, but we've got this type of wedge formation, and it's making higher lows. So I think still to short it there off a weekly, there's still really there's no price action. I'd rather see it break down below that, so you're getting this push down through support, maybe a bounce back, and then look to sell it, somewhere in here. You're keeping your wrist tight. Obviously I'll be selling that off a daily chart. Once it's broken down below this support, I don't know, it's roughly 470 thereabouts, 460 to 70. I'd rather be selling in that because that's more confirmation for me on a weekly at least, but it hasn't shown any confirmation. So if we go back to drill it down even further, just so you get a clearer action on the daily. Let me just get that. I think, again, if this is just that sort of price action you're looking at there, you know, higher low, that's held there, you hold support. You started to get, you know, contraction in on itself. As soon as you get this push up through here, if you can see that, that in essence probably would have been a really good buy through 520 more than anything, and then your risk can be down at 5. Just remembering that weekly, and markets can do this too, they can sort of contract it in on itself. It's in a good zone obviously on the monthly, but there's no reason why, you know, it is heading towards overbought on the monthly. It is up there, but don't forget that's a monthly chart. There's a lot of days in a month in that one bar, in that one candle. You know, you got 30 odd days in the one, or 20 trading days in that one candle. So for it to move to the next candle, it may not change too much on a monthly chart, but you can do a lot of damage when you go down to the daily. So I think that's what it's done. It's just people are shorted in here, maybe viewing the monthly or the weekly, looking at that, you know, shorting in here, and all of a sudden they're starting to get caught on the long side, and the market's just, you know, taking out this high. It's looking to hold $5. It's holding higher lows in here, and then it's just gone on with it again. So it's just another move like this, contracted in, you know, beautiful move in there. That sort of price action. So I hope everyone sort of understands what I was trying to say there. You just got to build your picture, and then if you get down to a daily chart, you know, you're drilling down for the entry. The entry is important to me anyway, and you get this price action. It's there was no reason to short it just prior to that popping out there. As soon as you get that pop out through the top side up towards 520, it's got to be in your head, why would I be shorting it just in here? Why would I short it just in here? Technically speaking, why would I look to short it in there? MAs are up, you know, the stochastics are getting towards overbought, but this is a perfect reason why, just because the stochastics are in overbought territory, it's getting to be a lower probability buy, but it can easily happen. And I mean, your risk is you've already got 2 to 1. Well, you nearly got 2 to 1 on that trade if you've got your risk below $5, you know, with a breakout of 520 up to 560. You can see all that is 560. That's 2 to 1 right now, so that's a good little entry. You don't know how far it's going to go, whether it's just going to project right up to, you know, up to 6. You don't know, but it's going to, in essence, what we've got is a lot of short traders that were built up. A good emphasis to wash them out. They've all got to buy them back to close out their positions, so they're buying into the market with fresh buys. So what we're talking about are putting people on the sidelines, but just bringing them into the market to flush them all out again. 4-6 stopped out. Yeah, no, that's still. I just read that, Anne Marie. That I still like that. That 480. You know, that's probably, you're still buying it down there. Oh, that's your 460. You bought it somewhere around here, I'm guessing, and that moved down there. So yeah, I mean, it's still that's yeah, a profit's a profit. Oh, don't worry, I got flushed out way down here. I probably made the same sort of thing, somewhere around below $2. Actually, no, it wasn't in here. It was up at near below 3, I think. It was somewhere in this region twice. I think I got done in here. That little move up, I think I got washed out just in here, only in a minor scale, and that's probably me being a bit too aggressive on my tightening my risk, not giving it room to move. But yeah, you can see that's it's been some really nice price action there. Really, this is really tradable, I think, from the long side anyway. If you're just trading out, just holding longs, obviously, in the back of your head, you just got to remember that's been quite a good leg up with no correction on a daily basis anyway. But you know, who am I to say that that's going to stop? You know, you don't fight the market, you just go with it. And it's just times when it's getting, when it's getting to the top end of a range, or not a range as such, but top end of a move. Potentially, this is like what we said. This big move up here, it's no longer the unknown. It is yeah, up 8 cents today, so it's still flushing people out. Yeah, so that's not the unknown anymore. So anyone who's viewing this, if you're trying to fight that trend, you could just get yourself chopped to pieces. And I think a lot of people have just done this in here, maybe shorting it, look to take a short down here because it's had a big move up, but really there was no for me anyway personally, no short entry there at all. We've got higher lows we're holding, then you start getting this flush out, and then great little entry just through 520 there at the late. But I would, if I was taking that, which I just missed it for whatever reason, I didn't look at it. I looked at this prior and well after, sort of last few days we were talking about it with Davin. Um, Looking at in there, if I was going to take this trade, I'll just have it in the back of my head. That's a good strong move up. That's why you're looking for tight risk. There was tight risk, 20 cents, great. It's still worth it. Okay, in up in overbought territory there. Okay, the way I would look at it, the move, is it going to run out of steam? Probability is that it could, but if I got that move through there, I know there's going to be some short traders flushed out. I don't know where it's going to take us, but I'm willing to take that. I'm willing to take that risk on and just see what happens. I think the structure was looking great back then. So to me, emphasis is more on the structure than anything else. So I hope that makes sense there, guys. I think I'll babble on about that for a while. But yeah, I think it was a nice little trade there in the end, and it's a great way to view it if you know when people get this short interest coming in, and you can sort of understand that, that people are coming in short. That's fuel for it to get washed out on the top side. Obviously, people are buying in all the way up here. That's becoming the known. People are trying to get in on the unknown on the short side, but there was really no setup. So when it comes down to it, if you're trading, you built your picture. If you're going from the monthly, okay, it looks good. I'm looking at that zone. The weekly's still looking good. It's contracting in on itself right up until here, starting to look good. Okay, maybe there is a potential. We've got this strong leg up here. Maybe there's potential for it to contract and to break down. We get that contraction maybe down to 3, retrace some of that move, and then build a good base for another second leg up on the weekly or a monthly. So that the build up was there. There's just no setup. So when it comes down to it, what you're looking for, the last thing is off the price structure, off your daily. Look for the setup. It didn't happen on the short side. It was long. The setup did come long. All right. Let's just. So any questions on that, guys? Anyone that's got a. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, like Dan was saying, we're talking about it as a good short squeeze. So that knowing that the shorts are built up, that was as soon as it got through this high here at 520, that short squeeze was on. And we don't know where that's going to take us. That's the thing. But yeah, if your risk reward, potentially it's going to take out these highs, you're going to be up on that trade pretty quickly, which you did get on this big candle here. And then you can reassess it. Now we can easily move, if you're long, you can move your stop below that. What's that? Low 533. You're locking in as profit and just see what happens from there. All right, let's see where everything else is pushing. Oh, Telstra, little bugger, pushing back up again. SLR we've got from 60.5. Still like that one. That was really good base here, major higher low. So had a good flush out to the downside, good retracement. It held these highs, bit of a flush out, tried to take out that low at about 45, held a higher low, and we built up. So we got this move, contraction here. I expected a deeper correction, in there, maybe down to below 55. It didn't come, so that the reason why we got in just through when it pushed up through 60 was just because that should have gone lower if that was some weakness stepping into market. So it's quite a strong market. AED to recover and begin to recover. Let's take a look then. Whoa. I'd say a long time just by quickly looking at that. Actually, all right, let's just draw. This is a weekly basis, so you're getting some price action. It's sort of some mixed price action at the moment, to me anyway. Let's just get that. Yep, didn't want that. Sorry, I'll just quickly get it up there. Art and leisure. Alright, so just marking up the clear levels, we can see major low there. It's had that breakdown there. It hasn't. I guess you can say that's a high low. It's had a good strong push up, built that high low. Buying in there was probably a bit hard. As soon as you get this breakout there, buying through here could have been good. It's holding that trend up. You've got a strong washout down there. What we're seeing down here is a major support. So we've had that push up. it's flushing it out now. It's consolidating, but it's a major, to me, it's just major consolidation. We don't know exactly what's going to happen from here. You can see that that high here is flushed out that high, wash it out, built a lower high here, and just collapsed back down again. But that could easily just trade between 290 and 180 or 170 for a while. Potentially that's building a higher low in here. Yeah, that's a good strong move down. We're on the weekly, I think. We're on a weekly chart. So they had a terrible week there from 260 down to below, say, 190. To me, I would expect this is going to take some time to recover and start trending higher, purely because that's a massive range. What I'm looking at is just quite a big range. So what we might see is, if that's going to hold this high and it's going to contract, it's probably got a fair bit of work. You know, you've had, if we can draw that up, that's a major low, another little minor low. That's the tops. Well, it wasn't very straight. That's a all right. That's that high in here. We've sort of pushed up. We may expect to see a bit stronger correction if we can hold, you know, and potentially hold that up there. I'd expect to see, I don't know why it's doing that now. So I would expect to see more contraction, purely because it's such a big range, and that price action, that's quite a strong move down. You know, bounced around a bit, built that quite a strong sharp move up, washed out those highs. So you can see that that move up had a couple of weeks of just bang straight through the most recent high, rejected it, built that lower high. As soon as it built the lower high in here at just above 280, it's just fell over. So I don't, to me, that sort of price action, I wouldn't be jumping in or out of this. Sorry, I wouldn't be jumping in, that's for sure. I'd want to see the price action build first, and I don't like that. You know, it's sort of gapped up on the upside, bang straight through this most recent high, consolidated, built a lower high. That was, you can see the days through there. Excuse me, those days through there are quite small, and then bang, it's had a couple of big days, opened up quite low, traded straight back down. So whether we're going to reject this 185 zone, it's heading down now. Today, what is it, down 3%? It's not looking flash. I know, looking at that stochastics, we are down towards oversold, but there's no reason why this just can't, you know, there's a bit of volatility in there, so I'll just be steering clear of this one for a little while. Yeah, I think if it's going to have the permanent damage there, sorry, I didn't, yeah, I think, oh, for me, I think it has. I wouldn't be heading there for quite a long time. I wouldn't be going on old rides, that's for sure. I haven't been following it a hell of a lot, and what the reasons were behind it. I don't know if it's come out just yet, has it? What the cause of the accident was, I'm not sure. Anything like that's going to have some, yeah, longer term damage. And taking that, just, I guess, thinking about Dreamworld, that's why it could easily just push straight through 185. So, and down through 170. But if I was going to short it, I don't see a short set up there. That gap there, you know, it's just closed the gap pretty much, and this gap down and just bang. You've got a bit of buying. You can see that's come down to support, a bit of buying. That's just, to me, that's just an opportunistic buying more than anything else. And now we've tried to go back up. The hit 220 was starting to roll over again. So I think there's going to be quite a bit of work to do. They've got a bit of patchwork to do, I guess, in the way of PR and stuff before a lot of people would be looking to buy into this. And if there's the longer term traders, the big punters are holding quite a bit, I think they're going to get out. So that's going to take a while. Once they get out, it's going to take a while for it to consolidate. A lot of consolidation first before I'd even be willing to look at a buy setup on that one. All right, let's just see what else is happening here. So I hope that helps. SLR hit 62.5. That's good. We've got this one here from 580. You know, we're gonna, I'll obviously send out alert a bit later on today and just chat about that one. Just, I'm happy to raise some risk just to lock in something that, you know, we're going to lock in a small gain just so there's no risk on that trade, and just see what happens. See if we can push up, might even potentially up towards 15 to 20. take off half just to lock in, because that you've had that good move up, pullback, consolidation, another good move up, minor pullback, buyers have stepped in and we've had another good push up. So if that's similar, that leg up there from 5 to 5, was it 580.90, you take that same projected out from those lows here up to the highs, takes us somewhere around the 620, I think. But that's what we'll be looking at on that one, potentially taking some off up there. Been watching that for a while. There's nothing much is happening. MVP, this is one I think we've spoken about a few times. Waiting for FDA approval on to release a drug into the US, which they've got it. I think they've got it approved through Europe. A few others. Looks good. Yeah, I know. I think it got really close the other day. What did it touch down? It was like 2 cents off it. So I'm happy. I think that trade probably over. This 30 has got to hold up. This is WBC, by the way. It's got to hold up just above $30. Potentially bounce off there, but we're not really seeing it bounce. We're seeing still selling coming in. It'd be interesting to see. It hasn't done too much today, but it'd be interesting to see if it can hold up above 30, and then still like that price action. It's just that we probably got towards the top end. We've got a bit of reaction. Wash out of 31. Bit of reaction off there. A couple of days it didn't help us. Still in there fighting, but we'll see how that goes. Still that weekly, that high low there could still bring in some buyers. We'll just have to see if it rolls over from here. I think, okay, we're going to get a bit contraction. I think this high low will hold below, was it 28.5? We'll probably hold. We might get a bit of a pullback in here, a bit more contraction before it tends to go, but we had a go at it. We'll see how it goes from here. What else do we have? I'll have to check. I think we're out of this one, Collins Food. I think 469. I think we're out of that one now. Yeah. All right. Any more questions, guys, at all? Anything we might be looking at? I'll just quickly check the emails, see no charts coming through. Doesn't look like it. Alrighty. All right, we'll call it a day there, guys. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. Tomorrow's Cup Day, so we're still going to be on tomorrow morning, sending out some alerts. Obviously around, was it 2:30, I think, Cup's on, Melbourne Cup. I'll probably sit in front of the TV watching that. But yeah, we're still going to be doing the live stream tomorrow, so even though it's a public holiday in Melbourne, I'll still be doing that. We'll have a bit of a chat. It'd probably be a bit quieter day tomorrow, I would expect anyway. There's generally not a lot of action on Cup Day anyway. I think it does. So was it the race that stops a nation? Pretty much, I think. So yeah, we'll be on tomorrow morning, have another chat, see how it plays out tonight in the US, see what happens for us tomorrow. Any charts, I guess, yeah, send them through if you've got something you can send through via email of a trades that you've done, good, bad or ugly. Send them through if you feel like it. Otherwise, we'll just think about some stocks we want to have a chat about tomorrow. We didn't look at the Aussie dollar, but we'll look at that in the afternoon wrap today. All right, thanks guys for joining us, and we'll speak to you around that 10:15 time slot tomorrow. Thanks guys, bye.